Live from the Tickscape Studios. Let's f***ing go.
Welcome to the Monday edition of LFG, everybody. Dave Penz hanging out with Jim Kozimor, Matt Fowler, our producer, and Bisa, associate producer extraordinaire. Happy to have you along. What a weekend it was. And guys, I'm going to start off things today talking about
Timberwolves.
The Minnesota Timberwolves. Listen, I know that there's a lot of things we could talk about. The NFL draft was this weekend, and we probably should talk about some of the other great NBA games over the weekend. Jalen Brunson going off and getting New York a 3-1 series lead, taking it back to New York from Philly. But at the end of the day, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think, they're getting disrespected, and I have to admit, I probably they're getting disrespected, and I'll tell you why in a second. Before I tell you why they're getting disrespected, I'm just going to tell you that I'm probably the most conflicted person in America when it comes to the Timberwolves, because I have many.
You and Kevin Garnett. You're number 2 to KG.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah. I have many good friends in Minnesota. I have many good friends that cover the team, that work for the team. I'm friends with some of the players on the team. So I am rooting for all of them because I want to see my friends do well.
How about the coach?
I'm friends with the coach. In fact, I texted Coach Finch before we went on the air this morning. I wanted to wait to text him because obviously that was crazy what happened to him last night with his patella tendon. And
yes.
It was, and the game wasn't decided yet at that point. So he was in pain to actually go back to the locker room with only like a minute and change left.
I haven't seen the update. What's the update on him? I haven't seen it.
Oh, he tore his patella tendon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
it
was a freakish accident. I think most people probably saw it by now. Mike Conley goes into him with about minute 40 left in that game, and then he goes into a fan in the front row and immediately is holding his knee. And I just, I feel terrible for Finchy. I texted him this morning and I said, hey, I hope the euphoria over winning your first playoff series as an NBA head coach is numbing the pain. And I'm so happy for him, and I'm so happy for that coaching staff and the players who put in the work, and for the fan base that has endured 20 years without winning a playoff series. It's only the third playoff series they've won in franchise history. So yeah, I have some level of disenchantment with some levels of that organization. But overall, I'm really happy for the fan base. I sent out a tweet last night congratulating my friends in Minnesota who have endured
fans. I'm
the
sure
long
they're still
suffering.
Fans of yours.
And,
your friends are your fans.
And it turns out there are a lot of fans of me, because I think my tweet got retweeted like 1,000 times last night.
Wow.
And it really made me feel good. Everybody, the overall sentiment was, hey, you've been a part of this, and we want to see you at the parade, and it kind of made me feel like, okay, it's okay for me to root for this team, even though I, on some levels have some frustration and have some disappointment. And I wish I was at the party. I feel like the party was just getting going and I was asked to leave. So that's a little bit frustrating. But at the end of the day, I am happy. But I'll tell you, Coz, why I feel like they're getting disrespected. Because we talked about this on our call prior to the show. What has been the narrative nationally this morning as far as that playoff series has been? Has it been, hey, the Timberwolves are really good and they just swept the Suns, and look out because they're probably going to play the Nuggets in the second round and that's going to be a war and it's going to be fun? Has that been the narrative?
I've been at the gym. I got there about 7:30, jump on the elliptical, and I have 4 TVs in front of me. One of them is always on the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. It's always on the morning show Get Up. And if you were to watch that show and every corresponding conversation afterwards regarding it, you were to see a story about the Phoenix Suns getting knocked out of the playoffs and the experiment of Durant adding Beal with Booker and why that didn't work. That was the total line of discussion going on with that series as to why it didn't work for the Phoenix Suns and what the Phoenix Suns have to do to make it work. And I'm sitting there watching, and I said, you know what? I don't need this discussion because the Minnesota Timberwolves won, so I started watching HDTV, and they were fixing up a house, Dave. I don't understand why it is Get Up and all these other networks. They're doing yesterday's story when they should be doing tomorrow's story.
The Minnesota Timberwolves absolutely worked the Phoenix Suns. And by the way, Phoenix swept the Timberwolves in the regular season. So in my,
I did not know
That's saying something. That's saying something right there.
yeah, my biggest question with the Timberwolves this season, they probably, I don't know the math, I didn't look at it, but I would guess that they spent more days as the number one seed in the Western Conference than any other team in the West. They ended up finishing in a 3-way tie with Denver and Oklahoma City, and the Oklahoma City and Denver
are tricky.
Yeah, so they dropped to the 3 seed because of tiebreakers, but they had the same record, and they got swept by Phoenix in the regular season. And I was concerned, hey, is this a team that is really ready to be able to take the next step, right? Because it's one thing to win in the regular season. I've said that on the show. It's one thing to win in the regular season. It's another thing to do it in the playoffs. And this is a team that 2 years ago, they were the better team against Memphis, and they blew multiple fourth-quarter double-digit leads, a historic collapse against Memphis on their way out of the playoffs. Last year, they lose to Denver. They put up a pretty good fight, but they play a Nuggets team that was poised to win the championship. It goes on to win the championship. And now, you know what? They've taken their lumps, and they're ready. And they have a lineup that is going to be tough. And listen, it's more than likely going to be Denver. The Lakers are not coming back from down 3-0 and now 3-1 to win that series. It's just a matter of how many games it's going to take Denver to close them out. Probably Denver wraps it up in Game 5 at home. But that's going to be a war, but that is a team that the Timberwolves know quite well. They've got history with Denver. Jokic and Towns have history. Gobert knows them quite well, having played in that division with Utah before coming over to Minnesota. And the Timberwolves are a tough matchup, man, with those Twin Towers with Gobert and Towns. And now you've got Edwards out there running around like a young Michael Jordan. This is going to be a heck of a battle. And I don't know who's going to come out of the West because I'm not going to discount Oklahoma City. They look absolutely dynamic behind Shea and Giddey. And I mean, that's just it's a good-looking team.
Love them.
And you know, that series between Dallas and the Clippers is interesting as well. I don't think the winner of that series advances beyond the next round, but I could be wrong. And I know that it would be a great rivalry if it was Dallas against Oklahoma City because those cities are not that far apart geographically. But at the end of the day, like you said, Coz, the narrative has been Phoenix, what went wrong? Why didn't it work? Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and KD and, you know, and is Frank Vogel's job safe? And, like, nobody's talking about the fact that the Timberwolves just absolutely found another gear, worked Phoenix. Phoenix looked discombobulated on offense because of the Timberwolves' suffocating defense. They were the best defensive team in the league all season long. And defense travels, man. And I know the history, and Matt, you brought it up last week when we had Chris Hine from the Star Tribune on the history with the Timberwolves and the Timberwolves fan base. I think that's a fair question to ask about Timberwolves fans. Are you concerned the other shoe's going to drop? The players don't care about any of that history. They care about what's in front of them. But the fans,
yeah, I think we're past that.
Yeah, no, but it's the fans that would have the angst. But I mean, I think this team might be Minnesota proof. Like, they are so dynamic right now that they might actually be Minnesota proof, and the national media should be talking about how good this team is and what a legitimate threat they are to make a deep playoff run and possibly contend for a title right now, and not be talking about KD and Booker and Beal and what went wrong.
I think the league and I think the networks are slaves to the past, and they know what the devil is they're dancing with. So they're going to keep running Durant up the flagpole every chance they get. They're going to keep running LeBron up the flagpole every chance they get. They're going to be running Steph Curry up the flagpole. Even with those guys out of it or virtually out of it, they stick with the formula that they've been running for the last 10 years. I think they're afraid, Dave, afraid to move on from them and they can build a new layer of celebrity for this league, which they really have got to do because everything comes to an end.
It totally comes to an end. And Matt, your boy Steph Curry, he's got some good years left in him, but it's a new generation coming in.
Yeah, you know what? I do think there's one more chance maybe next year for the Warriors to make one more Cinderella run. And I don't know where that ends up. I don't know where it ends up. Maybe it's just a nice playoff run where they knock somebody off and get to the second round. I do think that they have a chance.
They're a 10 seed. They're a 10 seed.
Yeah.
Well,
they're a 10 seed. Let's call it what they are.
As
they're
of
a
now,
10 seed.
yes, but we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah,
they're getting older. They're an old 10 seed.
I completely agree with you. The guard is changing. I think Minnesota and Anthony Edwards and players like that are the new face of the league and will be the new face of the league. And can I give my Minnesota Timberwolves prediction, please?
Sure.
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. I think.
Matt cannot say. By the way, those of you who are tuning into our show for the first time, and we may have some first-time listeners, guys, because I put out a tweet that we'd be talking Timberwolves today on the show, and I'm guessing we may have some fans of the Timberwolves listening to the show. Our producer Matt Fowler cannot pronounce the Minnesota Timberwolves correctly. Here's how he likes to say it:
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. So I went ahead and made it into that. So
it does sound adorable. Okay. It does sound adorable.
It is adorable.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, by the way, Dave, that tweet that you that tweet that you tweeted out last night, 60,000 retweets or 60,000 views on Twitter. So
60,000 views. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and that shows how beloved you are in Minnesota. But you know what? To echo what you guys were saying.
Do I have to start following you now? Do I have to start following you?
Are you not following me yet on Twitter?
I must not.
X, by the way, X.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, X.
Yeah, an X.
Yeah, well,
I have not, and I haven't seen it. And you got to tag me on this stuff, dog. Yeah, it says you follow me.
Yeah,
I guess I should follow back.
So I think that the basketball team from Minnesota, okay, I won't say it so you guys can make fun of me, but the basketball team from Minnesota that just swept the Suns, I think they're going to the NBA Finals. I do.
I mean, listen, there's no reason they couldn't. By the way, whenever I think of X now instead of Twitter, this does come to mind. Coach, you know this one, right?
I love this one. Are you kidding me? My head's rocking right now.
This was when they took the makeup off. This was like the debut no makeup album from Kiss.
I'm a fan. I'm a Kiss fan. When I was a young kid, all my buddies were, and I didn't really care about it, but they rock. Let's not kid ourselves. They totally rock.
I never did see Kiss in concert. Anyway, I kind of get distracted there. Yeah, Matt, hey, listen, I would love to say that they will make a deep playoff run. I mean, there's no reason they can't beat Denver. There's no reason they can't beat Denver. There is no reason they can't beat any one of the remaining teams in the Western Conference. There is zero reason that they cannot win against any one of those teams. Can they beat Boston in the finals? That's kind of where my head is at, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
and I have to go back and look because I haven't obviously called the games the last 2 years. I don't know if they've won in Boston during the 2 seasons I've been gone, but they had not won.
Because tells you it might not matter. Phoenix swept them, and then here we go to the playoffs, and boom, it's all Minnesota. So, that might not matter if they've won in Boston before.
Right, it might not, and hopefully that's something that we have to talk about. But as of the last game that I called with the Timberwolves, they hadn't won in Boston in like 17 years. Like it was a long. Like they hadn't won in Boston basically since they
This
won a
team
playoff
doesn't
series.
care about that team,
Yeah.
right?
No,
You
you're
just said
right.
it. These
You're
guys
right.
don't care about that narrative.
You're
I'm
right.
trying to build your case.
Okay,
Even
I
though
love
I
it.
hate the Timberwolves.
You hate
I
the
sports
Timberwolves.
hate the Timberwolves.
Okay, you sports hate
Sports
the
hate them.
Timberwolves.
I sports
So
hate them.
so
Yeah.
so Dave, would you go to the parade? A, and B, did you text Anthony Edwards after that nasty dunk?
No, I do have the Edwards dunk queued up though because that was absolutely ridiculous. And
Let's hear it.
And that's the other thing, Coz. Okay, here you go. Here's Iron Eagle. Let's see. Let's get the Iron Eagle. I'm getting it queued up here. Iron Eagle. The clip I have here starts with the Timberwolves coming up with the basketball. So once they get the ball back out, and it's going to set that Edwards dunk. By the way, the dunk occurred last night. It was a 2-point game with 2.5 minutes to go. And here's Anthony Edwards, what he does in a tight game late.
10 to shoot. Edwards. Oh, Edwards! A signature slam!
It was ridiculous. And Coz, it was Jordan-esque. It was Jordan-esque.
Wait a minute. That's high praise, buddy.
It was Jordan-esque. I look at
Come on, it was a
I
big
look at
guy with a
Anthony
dunk.
Edwards and I see a young Michael Jordan, Coz. And I've been saying that. I was saying that. I was saying that from okay, midway through his rookie season.
That's not an ant fact. That's ant fiction. That's not an ant fact right there.
Well, listen.
But you go. You tell me what you see.
You watch the way he carries himself, the way he takes over a game. He put up 40 last night. By the way, I have a little bit of breaking news. Literally,
news.
as I was playing the Ant highlight, I got a thank you. I won't say what it says, but I got a thank you text back from Chris Finch. So happy to see Finchy is
Come on.
is okay.
Tell us what it is. That's breaking news. You got to tell us what he said.
He just said it's super. Okay, here it's nothing. I can't really. He didn't say anything crazy.
Unless it's you don't want to.
No. He just said
because you do have Minnesota fans listening right now, and if he said something that's sensitive,
no, it's nothing sensitive. No.
No.
My text to him was, "Congrats, coach. Sorry about your knee. Hopefully, winning your first playoff series as an NBA head coach is numbing the pain." He says, "It sure is. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you." There you go. So that was back from
That's
Chris.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful return of serve. And you know what? I feel I don't dislike him. I just sports hate the organization.
Well,
So,
yeah. All I know is I'm happy for Finchy, man. I'm happy for Micah Nori. I'm happy for everybody on that coaching staff. And by the way, and this really was, if they played Denver, and this would have been a subplot last year in their playoff series, but it was a first-round series, and the Timberwolves had to come in through the play-in, and I don't think anybody really thought that they were going to give Denver a run for their money. It's a great subplot if they play the Nuggets in the conference semis because the Nuggets bench Ryan Saunders and David Adelman. Ryan's the former head coach of the Timberwolves and, of course, legendary Timberwolves head coach Flip Saunders' son. David Adelman was a longtime Timberwolves assistant when his father, Rick, was head coach and then stayed on the staff with Flip for a little while. So you talk about a team that knows the organization. That's a great subplot, and we'll talk about that as it continues on. But goes back to Anthony Edwards. His rookie season, the first 20 games or so, he was a little bit slow getting out of the gates, as you might imagine a kid who's played 1 year of college basketball would be. And by the way, his rookie year in the NBA should have been his freshman year of college because he accelerated in high school by a year. So he went into college, and what his year playing college basketball should have been his senior year of high school. So he's ahead of schedule. And that shows the work that he's put in to get there. So his first 20 games or so, me and Jim Peterson, we were privately like, this, did they make the right pick, whatever. And then I remember an early game, there was a game early in his career in that first 20 game set. I don't remember who they were playing, but it was a late game situation where they needed a three, and they came up with the basketball, and it was he and Rubio were on a break, and Ricky went out to like the 3-point line, and Ant went in and like took a layup, and Ricky was like beside himself, like young buck, you gotta have awareness of time and situation, and Anthony Edwards didn't have that. Guess what? Those lights came on pretty quick. And the guy, he's dripping with charisma. He's dripping with confidence. And his confidence, I don't think, is arrogance. It's confidence. His backstory is incredibly difficult. He's endured a lot of personal tragedy in his life, with his mother and his grandmother being both taken at an early age. So this kid has gone through the trials of fire to get to where he is, and he put the team on his shoulders last night, putting up 40. That dunk was incredible in a 2-point game with 2 minutes to go to try and clinch out a series. Coz, I really, honestly, I told Greg Papa when I did San Francisco radio when they were playing the Warriors in Ant's second year, I told Papa on the radio, I said, there are not 5 players in the league that I would trade Anthony Edwards for. And that was in his second year, and that was before all this. And Papa was like, that blew his mind. Are there 3 players in the league that you would trade Anthony Edwards for right now? I don't know if there's 1 player in the league I'd trade Anthony Edwards for right now.
Wembanyama?
Yeah,
I'd go for Wembanyama.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Would you do the guy that you've got the audio sound of how to say his last name?
Oh, Giannis? Not at this point.
Would you do Giannis?
Not at this point.
Would you do Embiid? Drop the burger. Would you take Embiid?
I would not take Embiid.
I'll give you a good one.
No,
I'll give you a legit
I would not
one.
take Embiid.
I'll give you a legit one. Jalen Brunson.
No, not a chance. Anthony Edwards is 22 years old. He's 22 years old, Goes.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't even hit his prime yet. And he's doing this at 22, and he hasn't even hit his prime? Think about that. He's 22. Jordan came into the league at 22. And think about where Jordan went. I mean, Anthony Edwards the sky is the limit for this kid, and he is going to be a problem.
Let me ask you this. Let's use Jordan, because you're putting his name, Ant, in the same category as Michael Jordan. You're not saying he's that guy yet, but he's the young version.
He reminds me of a young
Jordan.
Jordan.
Of what we believe? Okay, so how much of what we believe of Jordan has to do with the fact that he won 6 championships? That's the majority of why Jordan is Jordan. Like if he would have been LeBron and gone 2-4 in the finals, right? Or 2-7 in the finals, or whatever it is, would we still think the same of Jordan? Is a big piece to the Jordan puzzle, 6 titles, 6 tries.
But he didn't. He didn't go 2-4 in the finals. So that's why he's Jordan.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He went 6 for 6. Is that the big piece to the Jordan puzzle, or would he have been as big if he was 2-4?
Not as big if he went 2-4,
because that's going to help us get the answer.
Not as big at 2-4, but maybe 5-1 probably still, and 4-2 maybe. But yeah, you start losing those finals. But he didn't. I mean, that's like saying if it snows in July, should we celebrate Christmas?
Fine.
I mean,
Well, Dave, here's another. Sorry. Go ahead, Goes.
No. You finish it. I'm actually just trying to make the point for Ant and say, all right, if he's a young Jordan, at what point? Remember, Jordan had to have a bunch of mediocre years. Now, he was phenomenal, but the team was mediocre. Then they had to get through the Detroit Pistons, which took them a few whacks at it, a few whacks at the pinata before they were able to knock it down. And then once they got there, he was dominant over 6 championships in 8 years. Is that what we need to see from Ant in order for us to say, oh, yeah, he's there?
Well, yeah. And I mean, listen, I'm not ready to say that he is Jordan. I'm just saying he reminds me of
I'm not saying that he is either. But what do we have to?
And
what do we have to? Go ahead, Matt. What were you going to say?
He's going to go win an Olympic. Matt, he's going to go win an Olympic gold this summer, Coz. So that's going to be one. That's going to be one trophy in his war chest.
Until Lithuania takes him down to the gold medal game.
Yeah, well, let's hope that doesn't happen. I think Team USA wins the gold this year. Also, because of Matt's favorite player, Steph Curry, is going to be on the Olympic team, and Steph doesn't have an Olympic gold yet either. I don't see any way that they don't find a way to win gold this year in Paris.
So I have a counter argument, or I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure if it's an argument against you, Coz, or just kind of a point that I think we all forget. Now, everybody knows that I am not a LeBron fan at all. I think it's hilarious that he wants to compare himself to Jordan and has more finals losses than he has wins. But Magic Johnson has 5 NBA championships and 4 finals losses. But nobody talks about the 4 finals losses that Magic Johnson has.
Because they all came against Larry Bird, mostly. Isaiah Thomas. Jordan. Yeah. And
right,
Jordan.
Right.
Yep.
But I mean, think about it. I mean, technically that's almost just over 500 in the finals. That's not that good of a record. But
yeah, I mean, but nobody's saying Magic was the greatest of all time. Magic was an unbelievable player, and 9 finals is pretty
Magic,
impressive.
Some people make that argument. There was a time when they made that argument.
Magic is definitely one of the greatest of all time, and I would say
yes, he's in the discussion. He's definitely in the discussion.
I would say he's on the. I would say
he's
on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion. And
the Mount Rushmore. Ooh,
I do. I do put him on the Mount Rushmore. I think. I think if Curry wins, another title, then you replace Curry on the Mount Rushmore.
Recency bias. All right, listen, we're up against the bottom of the hour break, so let's take a timeout. Matt Fowler will have a sports update when we come back, but I do want to continue this conversation because I do want to go a more macro look at things. Who are the new faces of the NBA? Because we're seeing them emerge this playoffs. It's like KD, LeBron, and Steph. They were the faces for a long time, but they're not going to be the faces of the playoffs this year. We'll have that coming up. We're taking a quick timeout. Back with more LFG in just a moment.
You're crazy. I know you are, but what am I?
There's a lot of things about me you don't know anything about, Daddy. Things you wouldn't understand. Things you couldn't understand. Things you shouldn't understand.
What's missing from this picture? It's just me. Without my bike!
Hello, Daddy. It's me, Pee-wee.
What, Pee-wee?
It's about the other night.
Would you mind stepping out of the car, ma'am?
Where?
No, not at all, officer.
I've learned something out here on the road, Daddy. Humility. Where's the basement?
Excuse me?
Aren't we gonna see the basement?
I don't understand.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy. Rebel.
Go ahead and scream your head off! We're miles from where anyone can hear you!
Alamo.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
What's that?
That's a swear jar. Every time someone swears, you put a quarter in it.
Who gets the money?
I don't know. We'll use it to buy something for the office, like a case of Bud Light or something.
Fucking awesome. F you, Bob.
You, Jim.
Eric, I have a bag on line 3 for you.
Can I borrow your pen? Can I borrow your f***ing pen?
Will the owner of a white station wagon please go yourself?
We're gonna go down there and we're gonna some. We're gonna some. We're gonna do whatever we have to because we're gonna some.
Poop.
Doesn't count.
Shut the up!
I am so proud of you mother suckers. Here, here.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. Bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios Sports Update with Matt Fowler.
The July 20th bout between YouTuber turned prize fighter Jake Paul and former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson will be classified as a sanctioned bout by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations. The heavyweight showdown will be contested over 8 2-minute rounds, with each fighter using 14-ounce gloves. The outcome will affect their professional boxing records. That's going to be good. For all the latest news, updates, and outtakes, tune in to LFG with Dave Benz, Jim Kozamore, myself, Matt Fowler, and our associate producer, Bisa. Now back to LFG. Dave, I can't wait for that.
I didn't hear no bell.
That's going to be. Do we have to wait till July for that fight? It's still April. It's still April.
Jake Paul is not going to do well.
May's in 2 days.
May is in 2 days, yes, which reminds me I have 2 days left to file my quarterly tax return. So that's going to be fun.
Taxes were due?
They always get you.
I have to file quarterly returns for my LLC. So
Bags over here.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's big money. It's huge money going out there. I just need to file the paperwork. Although I actually filed an extension for my 2023 year-end return because I've just been too tied up on other stuff. Anyway, let's get back to NBA talk real quick, Coz. You brought up the question when we were on our call this morning. Who are the new faces of the NBA? Who are the people that you are going to say, I can't wait to go watch this person play? And I think there is a changing of the guard, right? I mean, are you at this point excited to go buy a ticket to go watch, Kevin Durant play? Are you excited to buy a ticket to go watch LeBron and Steph Curry play? I mean, I think people will still buy tickets to go see LeBron play, and that is going to remain in place, I think, until he retires. He is LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen him play,
Yeah.
he's the all-time leading scorer in the league. You want to be able to say, hey, yeah, I saw him play. Kind of like I only, out of all the NBA stuff I've done, I didn't start, calling games until Jordan had well retired. I did a bunch of pre and post while Jordan was in the league, but I never saw him play in person in a Bulls uniform. I only ever saw him play in person in a Wizards uniform, which is kind of empty, but at least I got to see him play. So I think there's people out there that will feel that way about LeBron and probably about Steph as well. I don't know if people feel that way about KD, and at this point it's more of a sentimental thing to go watch those guys play. Yeah, LeBron and Steph can still take over a game. There's going to be nights where they will be fantastic, but there is a changing of the guard in the NBA, and Anthony Edwards is on the front of that wave along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the interesting thing is you've got two of the hottest names in the league, and you brought up Wemby, Coz, and Wemby was fantastic as well. And you're talking about three of the smallest markets in the NBA, although that's a little bit of a misnomer because San Antonio is a bigger market now than I think people realize.
I agree with you, but the years where the Spurs were the best and winning titles and playing for titles, it seemed that annually those ratings were down. And that's when they had a trio of stars, and again, they were global stars as well because they had a French star and then they had a South American star. So you were going to get eyeballs everywhere, and yet their TV numbers were down to the finals. And you wonder if the same thing will happen if Oklahoma City gets to that level, if Wembanyama, another French superstar, can lead the Spurs to higher heights. And it is still, as great as Ant is, it is still to be determined if he's going to get the eyeballs that he would get if he was playing in a Boston, in a Los Angeles, in a Chicago, even in a Miami. I'll be greatly intrigued to see if the NBA can build on a guy like Anthony Edwards. Will he ever be the biggest, as big a name of KG in Minneapolis? I don't know. That's hard to do. He might be more liked.
There's recency bias for sure, and KG was amazing, but KG only won 2 playoff series, Coz. He won 2 playoff series. Edwards is 1 playoff series away from matching that, and he's only 22.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was reading an X thread this morning with the great Peter Vesey, in which there was someone who pointed out that, Anthony Edwards in Minnesota is about to win a series. KG wishes he had as much success. And somebody chimed in by saying, yeah, well, KG wishes he had the same supporting cast that Anthony Edwards has. And Peter Vesey pointed out that KG was a bit of a bully to his own teammates. He wasn't the best teammate. And as much as he was a great guy to the national media, and this is back when I was in the league, the local media would say, yeah, he lights up when the network cameras are around. But if they're not around, he's not a good guy. So, if you're not going to talk to the local media, who's there every day and connecting with the local fan, but you're all available and ready to go when the network lights come in, I think you're a little bit of a con man.
I will tell you, based upon my personal experiences with KG, that I cannot refute that viewpoint. He was a hell of a talent. He was fantastic in front of the cameras when he wanted to be, but when he didn't want to be, But I will say that he was. I guess it was probably polarizing, right? If he liked you as a teammate, he treated you like gold. There were times that there was a story I heard that one time they had a really bad flight with some really bad turbulence. And for the rest of the road trip, KG bought, I don't know if he actually bought it, but he leased or rented whatever, a private jet for he and his teammates to fly, so they didn't have to fly on the commercial charter for the rest of the road trip.
Woo!
Yeah. So that was the kind of
weird.
teammate he was to his guys in the locker room. The guys that played alongside him loved him. But he was another guy who, he orchestrated some of the moves that took place behind the scenes with that team. So his lack of success, he had a hand in it as much as anybody else did. And those Timberwolves teams under KG, they had great regular seasons and did not have any playoff success. So Anthony Edwards has a chance to rewrite all of that. So I think if I was going to pick Coach, the Mount Rushmore of NBA right now, and we're just talking right now, like guys that are, the guys that have been on the Mount Rushmore, I think you're going to put the old guard anyway. You got LeBron and Steph and KD, and who would you put as the fourth on that?
And I don't know who else, by the way.
And maybe
I don't know if there's a fourth.
I mean, is there anybody else nobody really else has won titles, right? Who else would be on the
player in the NBA?
I mean, I would probably
Nikola Jokic.
I would probably put Jokic on that list as a player, but maybe not as a guy that moves the needle with, that he's going to be the guy that ABC wants to build their marketing campaign around. That's the problem. And that's kind of the criteria. Like, who do you want to build your marketing campaign around? And maybe so there's a new guard coming, right? So the new guard, I mean, I haven't really gone and done a deep dive, but I'd put Edwards, Shea, probably in terms, and again, I'm not talking about in terms of talent because Jokic would be on there clearly. Maybe Jalen Brunson because he's winning over a lot of people and he dropped 47 over the weekend.
And he's in New York.
He's in New York.
If you're in New York and you do average things, they become great things because it's New York.
Yeah, so I would say that those three would be on my list. And, I guess probably, and I know you're not a fan, Coz, but probably I'd have to put Luka as the fourth. Luka would probably be my fourth on that list right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can make an argument against that. there was a time. Wasn't there a time when Kawhi would have been on that list, or was he not?
Yeah, but he's part of the old guard, don't you think?
Yeah, part of the old guard. Won a title in Toronto, but the new guys, I think the league. If you go to Fifth Avenue, are they Park Avenue or Fifth Avenue? If you walk on Fifth Avenue and you go to their offices, they're going to tell you Luka. They're going to tell you Jokic, and I'm going to say, are they moving the needle? Luka maybe moves the needle the most of the guys you mentioned. But I think he's a stat stuffer. And right now, he's not getting it done.
By the way,
but I think Luka's on it.
I didn't see a ton of that game yesterday because I was I was calling some San Jose State college softball. I did a couple of games over the weekend.
We'll get into that in about 35 minutes. We're going to break down San Jose State women's softball right here.
Enthusiastically, yes.
But so I didn't get to see. But on the drive home, my son actually put the game up on his phone, so I was listening, and I know that the Mavs came back from 31 down to take the lead, and Kyrie was balling. So, Kyrie, I don't think really – Kyrie is a little bit polarizing. He's been a coach and an organization killer, so there's really a lot of check marks in the negative column when it comes to Kyrie.
Flat earther.
But when Kyrie wants to play, when Kyrie wants to play, Coz, he could be special.
Yeah, he can be, but I still don't put him in the category of I got to see him.
Right.
If they're coming to town, I don't go, oh, I got to get my Kyrie number 2 out or whatever number he's wearing now. I got to get my Kyrie. I got to go get my fix of Kyrie. I'm going to Memphis to go see Kyrie. I'm going to see Luka, but I ain't doing it to see Kyrie.
This hurts my soul.
I ain't doing it right now. I ain't doing it to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I might go see Chet.
By the way,
I'm going to go see Chet.
Matt, 1 second on your thought, because I do want to invite people to call in. The phone line is up on the live stream, 650-402-4270. That's our second phone number in 3 days. We will have a third tomorrow because Matt was unable to get the call LFG number, even though Bisa was able to find it. So we're going to put Bisa on that to lock up the number. But for today, it's 650-402-4270. Who excites you about this new group of young bucks in the NBA? Who do you think is going to emerge as the face of the NBA within the next couple of years and maybe even this year before the playoffs are over? All right, Matty, I cut you off.
So I'll say two things. One, this hurts my soul to say this, but Kyrie Irving hit one of the greatest shots in the history of the NBA over Steph Curry in Game 7 of 2016 to win the championship.
Yes, everybody's aware.
Yes. The NBA was an open jumper, and Kyrie won that. By the way, LeBron, Kyrie won the championship for Cleveland.
Thank you, Coz. Anyway, my point is, obviously, that should be the defining, be-all, end-all moment. Do not pull up Mike Breen's callback. Don't do it. Don't do that. Oh man. It was funny. I told Mike once. I go, man, I have flashbacks because I always smile when I hear you call, but then when I hear blocked by James, I have flashbacks and I just gotta turn it off. But anyway, so he will be known for that shot, but because of all his, like you said, Coz, flat earther stuff, and all this weirdness around it, and him being not a good organizational guy, I think that takes away
his
from
side
it.
for the flat earther.
And
I didn't say that as a pejorative.
Yeah, no, but so there's that. But then there's something else I want to touch on the Anthony Edwards thing though. So I had a friend in Minnesota who I worked with. He created a list for me of former Minnesota athletes to leave and then go get championships in other places. And it's a long list. And he gave it to me in 2022 when Andrew Wiggins and the Warriors won, because Andrew Wiggins used to play for Minnesota. So I think that's another part of the angst for Minnesota fans, is that they have these great stars that can't get it done in Minnesota.
By the way,
Matt
has a limited scope, Coz, but I'll grant him a little bit of a pass. He did spend a year and change in Minnesota, so he does have a little bit of life experience with what it's like to be part of that group of fans. And that was the one thing that really kind of it it was almost shocking to me when I first went to cover the Timberwolves and call their games. It was like, cause I had gone from being in San Francisco, Giants, Giants win the World Series in 2010. 49ers go to the NFC Championship game and then the Super Bowl. Giants go back to the World Series in 2012. A's are going to the playoffs. Stanford has Andrew Luck and Christian McCaffrey, and they're rolling up, going to, to huge bowl games and contending for the national championship. And like everything is like, it's just Candyland. It's Candyland in the Bay Area with everybody just not only like, everybody expects to win. And, the Sharks were making runs deep into the playoffs. It was like everything they touched, every sports team out here had the golden touch. And it was like
that 10-year stretch was one of the most magical ever for one region.
Yeah, and then right? I, get to Minnesota, and it's like everybody's just like, how many times are we going to get beat in the head and have our heart ripped out? And it was just such a different feel. And then I learned to obviously feel empathetic for what these fans have gone through up there. And that's why, more than anything, that's when I sent out my tweet last night, more than anything, I was joyous I felt pure joy for my friends, but also for those Minnesota fans who really need something to go right for them, because as Matt said, the history has not only been that they haven't been able to have success, but they've watched so many players leave and have success somewhere else. It is time for them to be able to enjoy some success themselves. And yes, they did have the Minnesota Lynx, who were a dynasty in the WNBA for a brief period of time, with Cheryl Reeve leading the way, and my buddy Jim Peterson was an assistant coach on a lot of those teams. But at the end of the day, we all know that's not the same. It's great, and I'm not wanting to discount the WNBA, but winning WNBA titles is not the same as winning a Super Bowl, an NBA championship, an NHL Stanley Cup, or a World Series. It's just not the same.
Right. At the time they were winning the WNBA titles, which are great awards to win, the league was 10 years old and there were 8 teams. This is a mature NBA approaching 100 years with 30 teams. It's a different scale. So you're not being disingenuous. You're not being, dispirited towards the W. You just have to put it into perspective. It's not the Twins winning a World Series moves the needle,
Yeah.
And Dave, will you go to the parade if Minnesota wins the finals?
Let's worry about the Nuggets, okay? I mean, listen, I am overdue for a trip to Minnesota. It's been
I might go with you.
It's been a little while since I've been in Minneapolis, and I have some good friends up there, and I know
Is there a pickleball tournament? Is there a pickleball tournament coming up in the Twin Cities?
There probably is. There's a great pickleball place up there called Lucky Shots, which is a great pickleball complex. So yeah, the pickleball continues to explode. I actually have my pickleball shirt on today. Just because it was, when I came home from the gym, it was the low-hanging fruit. I hadn't put it away in the closet yet, so I just grabbed it. Anyway,
excellent.
Yeah, it's we'll see. It's going to be a fun future in the NBA as Madison. I want to go. Well, let's just go with Madison Avenue, Coach. I think as Madison Avenue tries to sort out the future, we know this. Anthony Edwards has a seat at the table, and if he keeps dropping 40 and throwing it down. And by the way, here's the other thing, going back to the Jordan conversation. Anthony Edwards can dunk on the same level as Jordan could. And he's got the confidence of a young Jordan. He's got a better three-point shot than Jordan, especially than what Jordan had at this point in his career. It's scary.
Yeah, well, they didn't shoot threes. They didn't shoot threes.
No, they shot threes, but Jordan, they didn't shoot as many. But yeah, Edwards has a better. Jordan, if you look at Jordan got better as he got older. But if you look at his best year, the 3-point percentage for him was the year they moved the line in. That's the one thing about Jordan. But he didn't need to. If Jordan had needed to, I have no doubt he would have been a fantastic 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he morphed his game, and he adjusted his game as he got older. Remember, he started as a high flyer who was just so amazing to watch, and then he became a last truly great moment against Utah is hitting the shot and holding the pose. Ball goes in. Bulls win the championship for the 6th time, and he goes on to the probably slot number 1 or 2 of Mount Rushmore. So, but the question for the NBA is bigger than that right now. Because this is one issue that a lot of longtime NBA guys had, especially longtime NBA announcers had. Problem with the NBA was they always forced the next guy on us. They told us who the next huge star was going to be, and we were supposed to promote it that way, as opposed to letting it happen organically. Well, I see an awful lot of Wembanyama headlines when I go to ESPN.com, and ESPN has a huge TV deal with the NBA. So I'm always seeing Wembanyama stuff. Oh, he's 7'4", and it took him one dribble to get to the rim, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing. It's Minnesota loses the game by 25, but Wembanyama did something that's unbelievable. So it'll be intriguing to see if they force a guy on us or if they let something organically happen. And if us as consumers, are we ready? Do we have that appetite? Are we ready to find who that next guy is? Because I don't know why you wouldn't like a guy like Jokic. Jokic is the everyman, and he's the best player in the game. And yet Kevin Hart's on a podcast saying, oh, that'd be bad for the NBA if a guy wins MVP again. I'm like, how can that be bad? How can it possibly be bad, Kevin Hart?
So reward. You should reward the guy.
I don't know where our appetite is.
You need to reward the guy who's had the best year and been, most valuable to his team. By the way, I've got a personal note on as we finish our Timberwolves talk here.
On Kevin Hart?
No, but this kind of blew me away this morning. So, Coz, I go, as you guys know, every morning. My morning routine is this: I wake up, get my son awake, get him out the door, drive him to school. Hop on a call with you guys. We chat for 15, 20 minutes. I run into F45, get my morning workout in, and then I come back here and we do the show. That's my usual Monday through Friday day.
How many burpees did you do today? How many burpees did you do today?
Well, burpees are off the table for me right now because I'm still rehabbing my shoulder. So burpees are a little bit hard on the shoulder.
Okay.
So I did. There were burpees today. There were two solid minutes of burpees today. But I replaced those with ice skaters. What'd you say, Matt?
No pain, no gain, man. Get in there. Let's go.
Okay. Listen, I've been rehabbing the shoulders
on this.
I've been rehabbing the shoulder since October. Okay. I'm trying to get it right.
Don't tell me about the labor pain. Show me the baby. Don't tell me the labor pain. Show me the baby.
Get some of that human growth hormone that you were talking about so much.
Yeah,
get some of that in there.
Yeah, I need to get on that. The BCP 187 or whatever it is. I need to put that on my to-do list. But here's what blew me away. I went into the gym today. And a guy that I've seen, you see you see the same people come in on a regular basis, and some of them I've been going there for almost 2 years. So some of them I have had conversations with, and I know some of their names. Others it's like, hey, you see them all the time. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. But if I didn't, but I don't know their names. And so one of the guys that falls into that second category, I honestly don't know that I've ever really had a conversation with this person more than just like, oh, hey, how was your weekend? Oh, great. Yeah, it's going to be a tough class today. Like, whatever. Boom. Like, that's been the extent of my conversations with this guy. He walks in today and he looks at me and he goes, you got any ant facts for us? I was like, what? Like,
hilarious.
How did this guy know, to drop that on me? I was like, that was really caught me off guard. That was kind of crazy.
Dude, because he's
how did it go
I'm always asking for ant facts.
Much like ants coming out of the woodwork, Coz, because they do like to come out of the woodwork. And you know that ants will group together in a flood, and they will create an island of ants to be able to stay alive. And they'll rotate who gets to be on the top. That's how the colony survives.
What was the response to ant facts during the telecasts that Dave Benz was manning?
Over like 90%. It was 90% extremely positive reaction, and 10% of the people thought it was hokey and cheesy and whatever. But it was 90% people loved it. And you know what? The fact that I haven't called a Timberwolves game in 2 years and people still remember it, and somebody's a guy brought it up to me on the beach in Naples 10 days ago, and now I got a guy bringing it up to me at the gym. That tells me that it was a good thing.
Dude, I ask about it on our show.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about the guy, I ask for an ant fact. It's funny, of the 10% who didn't like it or thought it was cheesy, were they the 10% who just want hardcore basketball?
I think they were the 10% who hated everything. They were the 10% who hated everything. You know, I actually did go through
They're those people. They're those people that go to parties and you tell a joke and they go, "That's offensive." That's those people.
Yeah.
You know what? They need to go in for a kicking. Someone needs to kick them.
You can please some of the people all the time.
Just my view.
And all of the people some of the time, but you will never please all of the people all the time. That's just the way that it goes. I'm trying to find
That's true, but I think it's neat.
I have an ant facts. I made an actual list. I'm trying to, like, when and I'm sure I saved it. When I was, obviously when I was calling the games, I went through and actually researched it. And I can.
A lot of free time in your hands when you're calling NBA games, don't you?
Oh, by the way, hey, Coz, I don't know if you want to do this or not.
Yeah.
I don't legally, we probably can't do this, but I'm thinking.
Oh, that stinks.
I'm thinking, I may do an alternate live stream of a Timberwolves playoff game against the Nuggets and do play-by-play. You want to do some color? You want to do a broadcast of the thing?
How do you do it? How do you do that? Well, tell me what the system is, 'cause
I know how I can make it
that.
happen.
And I've not. You do? Because isn't there a service that has that? That allows for fans to do that. I know there used to be a service where you could log in, watch the game, and call it. And people would get their own fandoms based on their social media.
That is absolutely true. So I think we need to do that. So let's do it.
Yeah, but I don't know what it's called, or I don't know if it was purchased by somebody else. But it was.
Well, I think Kerry Keating was involved. Okay, I found it. I found my my ants thing. Okay, you want some ant facts? Here are.
You know what I want you to do? Hey, hold on. Why don't we tease ant facts?
Okay.
Right? Because we're coming up on the top of the hour.
We are.
Yep.
So breaks. Are we in the break zone?
Yeah, we're in the break zone. All right, so let's tease it, and then we should shift off the NBA. I do want to get to, we need to talk about what happened in Detroit with the NFL draft. It was absolutely unbelievable, the turnout that they had there for the draft, and also Matt mentioned it in the sports update. But how about the fact that they're now actually officially sanctioning this fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? I think that's pretty interesting as well. So
it's going to be great.
It's going to be good. I just don't want to have to wait till July for it. So, all right, let's head to the top of the hour break, hour 2 of LFG. If you want to call or text the show, 650-402-4270. You can also email us at lfgradioshow.com. Back with more LFG after this quick timeout.
Hi, Ferris. How's your bod?
Ferris.
Bueller. Ferris Bueller.
Shoot up! Ferris Bueller, do you know him? Yeah, he's getting me out of summer school.
Devastatingly handsome.
They think he's a righteous dude.
Hey, Ferris.
Yeah.
Love you, pal.
This girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. Tom!
What's the matter? Ferris?
In Ferris's case, he is very sick.
Your father called.
I'm really sorry about your brother. I heard he's really sick.
I think I may need a kidney transplant.
They said he's like on the verge of death.
Oh, darling. Oh, honey.
God damn it!
Save Ferris. Save Ferris. Save Ferris Bueller. collecting money to buy Ferris Bueller a new kidney. They run about 50 G's or so. So if you could help out.
You want to get married? Today.
He knows where he's going. He's great.
He's a king. Ferris is a free spirit. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Well, we did it. We sealed the bad out and the good in. Take a second and look around you. Go ahead. We have everything we've always wanted. We'll want for nothing.
Excuse me. I really love it here.
Thank you.
We have all these beautiful avocados from Mexico, but where are the chips?
I'm sorry?
Oh, the chips. The chips are outside.
Why are they outside?
The chips are outside!
I want a Chris Elliott autograph. Hi.
Wait! Please, avocados taste great on lots of things. See? Avocado toast. We can still make this work.
Oh, Wi-Fi's down.
No.
Avocados from Mexico.
From the Tickscape Studios, let's f***ing go.
What up? Okay, wait a minute. Why is my mic off?
Apparently, Dave Benz is experiencing connectivity issues.
Yeah, that's possible. What should I do? All right, hold on.
Yeah, so I guess we're back.
Yeah, you're back. You're not.
What's going on with the big boy?
I'm going out over the live
Dave
stream.
Dave's having some problems right now.
Yeah, they can hear me on the live stream.
That's okay. We can handle it. So
Yeah,
we'll get to the ANFACs coming up in just a couple of minutes. Whenever he chimes back in, we'll jump into those ANFACs, and I'm sure that we'll be excited to hear what those are and how he came up with the idea, because that's always. Going in sport over the last, to me, without question, was something that was non-sports related, which is odd enough. I love it. It seems that everyone else on this program doesn't. Bisa did an outstanding job of keeping up to speed with it, but it was the NFL Draft. The NFL Draft is a 3-day event. It had on night number one, get this, night number one, over 12 million viewers across all of the platforms.
Makes
That's
no sense.
silly. That outdoes the NHL final. It outdoes the NBA final. It outdoes the MLB World Series.
Did it outdo
12
Caitlin Clark?
million viewers.
Did it outdo
It
Caitlin
did not
Clark?
outdo Caitlin.
It did not outdo Caitlin Clark, right? Caitlin Clark got 18 million for hers. Is that right?
That is right. But
All
but
right.
if we extrapolate that though, Jim, if we extrapolate that, does that mean that more people find the NFL draft more appealing than the Stanley Cup Finals or the Stanley Cup
NBA
playoffs?
finals. Than the
NBA finals.
NBA finals. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the NFL is in its own category. It's a monster of its own making. Is that fair enough? I think
700,000
that's
people.
why.
700,000 Coase. 700,000 people
Yeah.
went to Detroit. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I didn't
That's
even know that they
insane.
still had 700,000 people. I thought everyone
No.
left Detroit.
I didn't know Detroit was so bustling.
And I asked you guys on the call, and I can only even think of one thing, and it's not even, it's kind of apples and oranges, but is there any other event related to sports that is not actually a game that, and I guess you could say like Indy qualifying or, F1 qualifying is not actually a race, but I still think that that's still close enough. It's still an actual sporting event. Is there anything that is associated with sports that is not actually a sporting event that draws as much interest as the NFL draft at this point? The NBA draft is not even close. The only thing that I could possibly think of is the revelation of the NCAA bracket for the men's basketball tournament every year. That gets a lot of eyeballs, but it's not as long of an event, and it doesn't involve people going and watching it live.
Well, that's why, because people don't have to go watch it live. They just watch on TV.
I wonder what the numbers are for that, because like everyone else, I'm interested in the NCAA tournament, but I don't even pay attention that final day of conference tournaments. I just wait until Monday morning when I see the brackets. Whereas this, you guys are more of the, I don't care, the NFL draft is going on, where I was totally into it. I was in hook, line, and sinker. My team had the first pick in the draft. There are two other teams that I'm really intimately excited about, that I know some people who work for those organizations, so I like to see what they're doing and find out the picks and find out who's moving up and whether or not this player can make some sense for them. So I love the idea of the draft. It's the future of what's going on. But other people don't. I was part of the 12 million. You guys are part of the rest of the world that have lives, I guess. So,
Coz, I
don't do it for the other one.
I have an answer for the ratings. Looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, 5.9 million viewers for the 2024 NCAA selection show.
Wow, that's pretty huge.
And I would say, Coz, that number, like the thing that has changed with the NCAA selection show is, when I first started kind of following the tournament, I remember I would sit down with a pen and paper and I would write out the brackets, because the internet wasn't a thing back in the late 80s or mid to late 80s. So you would have to sit there and you would literally have to wait either for the paper to come out the next day, or you would have to sit there and write it out yourself. And that's what I would do. I would hand make brackets. So I was like, sitting on pins and needles, like, oh wow, I was the 9 seed in the West, so it was, that was a big deal. Now with the internet, I don't know if I think that show has lost a little bit of its luster, because you can just go online and see where everybody is and the bracket's already there for you.
Well, to me, for that show, if I am around a television and I have it on, let's say I just use it as background noise, I do enjoy seeing the reaction of some of the mid-majors or teams that won their tournament that they weren't supposed to win the tournament. Was Long Beach State one of those teams this year where they fired their head coach and then they end up winning their conference tournament, so they get into the thing? I do enjoy that part of it. It is. So I think you're right, Dave. That might be the only non-game event in sport that garners massive eyeballs. I mean, if you're talking 6 million people watching that's more than watch the NBA play-in games, right? I mean, that's more than watch the seasonal tournament or whatever it was. Wow, I'm actually kind of stunned at 6 million people watching the NCAA bracket show.
That's a high number. But is there anything else? Is there anything else you can even think of? Is there any other non-sporting event tied to sports besides the NFL draft and the selection show that would generate that kind of eyeballs? There's not 6 million people watching the NBA draft.
Maybe like back in the day, like or now recently now, because it's been so big, like the weigh-ins for some of these huge boxing and UFC events.
You're not getting 6 million people. No way. You're not.
Maybe the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul one will.
I will like to see the Mike Tyson Jake Paul weigh-in. That would be pretty fun. So that's why the NFL, they've made it, and credit to them. You think about the stories back when ESPN first told the NFL, yeah, we want to televise the draft. Like Pete Rozelle was still commissioner, and he was like, Really? That seemed crazy at the time. And now, and by the way, Coach, they didn't. It's still free. I gotta think that, and I like your idea. You've got an opportunity maybe to raise money for charity, even if it's a nominal amount, if it's $1. They had 270,000 people go. They had 700,000 people plus go to Detroit for the draft. If you see the aerial pictures of the people on the streets, it's unbelievable. They had 270,000 people go through the turnstiles. So if you had 270,000 people go through and you got $1 a piece, you would, and you donate that money to charity, how good would that look?
Yep. Yeah, you do it to a local charity too, where 270,000 is going to matter, and I think the 700,000 total is the attendance figure. So if the three of us decide, hey, we're big NFL fans, Jim likes the Bears, Dave likes the Commanders, and Matt only knows there's of one team in the NFL, and that's the 49ers. He couldn't name it. I'd spot him 5 other teams. He couldn't name them. But we're all going to meet in Detroit because we're good buddies and we're hanging out there, and we want to go to the game or we want to go to the draft and root for our team. If we go each day, we lob them $1 each day. So that's $700,000. Imagine what you could do locally.
Well, and Coach,
with $700,000.
How many people are going to go through the turnstile and they're going to say, it's for a good cause, and they give 10 instead of 1?
Yeah.
It's so.
Wow, I never even thought about that. And here's the part I have thought of. How many of those people who want the freebie are going, I ain't giving them $1, and they stay out? That's my bigger thing. I want to keep the riffraff out, Dave. Keep the riffraff out. I even think when I get on airplanes, I think, you know what? Let's double the price of this flight. Some of you people shouldn't be flying. That's what I think.
I don't know that they're gonna. I don't know that the riffraff's staying out for $1, but. I don't know.
I think you'd be surprised.
You make it like $1.50 so that everybody gives the extra 50 cents. I don't know. I don't know why this story is coming to mind because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Because when I was in my late teens, the price for movies was $5.50, and I used to go with my good buddy Tony Wilson, and Tony would always we get up there to pay, and Tony would every time be like, "Oh, go ahead." He'd let me go first, and so it'd be $5.50. And back then you're paying cash, so I'd pay the $6 and I'd get 50 cents back. And Tony every time, hey, can I borrow 50 cents?
What a cheap SOB! What a cheap son of a bitch he was.
Did you guys when you were kids? Did you guys do the lemonade stands?
Of course.
Sure, I think everybody did.
So I did that once. We couldn't really do
and the
it.
Cop shut it down because you didn't have a license in California.
No, because he was selling vodka. He got shut down because he was putting vodka in the lemonade.
Well, you know I was a pretty wild kid, but we couldn't do it much because we lived on this big hill, and so we wouldn't get any customers unless we went down to the bottom. So I remember one time we went down to the bottom of the hill, and I think I was like 7, 8 years old, and so my dad's there helping us, and he had one of his friends stop by, and one of his business partners that he worked with, and he says, "Oh, you kids are selling lemonade, okay?" And he says, "All right, well, I'll take a glass." And so we give him a glass, and he puts a $100 bill in the jar.
What?
And my dad looks at him like, Frank, you can't do that.
No.
But
man, you're living in the high rent district.
Yeah, I did.
$100.
I did lemonade stands with my son when he was 7, 8 years old, and we would go down by Dominican University and set up a little stand, and he had some good days. He had some $100 days, like for some lemonade for a couple hours. So that wasn't too shabby.
That's a big deal right there. But Dave, I think you stumbled onto something. You have the lemonade stand, but you get a little topper. How much you sell it for? $1 now? 50 cents, $1? Let's call it $1.
For the kids, probably
that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
it's $1. You know what? You give me a little topper, a little vodka topper.
I'll give you $5
for an extra $4. Yeah, exactly. I'll give you $5 if you give me the topper. You keep the $4. I mean, a $5 cocktail.
Don't tell anybody.
That's a deal.
Just don't tell anybody, and don't get in a car accident.
Listen.
Yep.
I mean, those kids should not drive their big wheels under the influence. Okay, don't do that.
Oh, Darius.
Don't be.
Yeah. Card the guy. That's what I would do. I'd card the guy. Say, because where I live in Tennessee. If the three of us were going to say, hey, you know what, let's celebrate the fact we've done 4 months of shows, in 10 days, it'll be 4 months, I think. So let's celebrate we did the show for 4 months. Let's buy a good bottle of something. And we go and grab a bottle of Rombauer, which is about $40. We walk up to the counter. Dave and I'm the oldest. Even, you know what, let's use Matt. Matt, you go up to the counter and say, yeah, I'm going to buy this bottle. They will say, all right, can I see your ID? Everyone has got to get carded. If you're a 90-year-old guy who wants to get his drink on, he's got to show his card. I just want to make sure that
Speaking of age and older gentlemen, guys, somebody whose name may sound familiar to you, a guy by the name of Tom Brady. He's halfway to 90. And he
is halfway to 90.
There was a report that he might, be interested possibly coming back as a player. And I'm just seeing a headline that the Gerard Mayo, the new Patriots head coach, he did some morning show radio in Boston this morning talking about the Patriots draft in which they did draft a quarterback of the future, Drake May, 3rd overall. And how is this? I don't know. Is this shade?
Another quarterback.
Is this throwing shade? Mayo was asked about Brady and he said, quote, I love Tom. The door is always open if he wants to come in here and coach. But as far as going on the field, I don't know.
You know what? In reverse psychology, he's going to do it. He's going to come back just because he said that.
You might have a point there on the reverse. He challenged him right there with the, he can coach, but I don't know about anything else. He's probably challenging him. They did draft another guy later on in the draft. They drafted Joe Milton, who was the quarterback at Tennessee. And so they did the exact same thing the Washington Redskins at the time did when they took RG3, who became an injured bust in the NFL. And they took another quarterback. Does anyone know who that quarterback is?
That they took this year, or you're talking in the history?
No. The year they took RG3.
Did they took another quarterback in the fourth round. Was it Kirk Cousins?
It was Kirk Cousins who became the best quarterback that they had in a while and has gone on to make how many hundreds of millions of dollars?
Way more than he should.
$200 million?
Way more than he should. But
why? He's a good quarterback.
$400 million. $400 million.
$400 million.
He's a good quarterback. But speaking of him, you've got on the call this morning. You brought up kind of the take about the Falcons, drafting Michael Penix Jr. We've had the weekend to kind of reflect on that. And you are more you're pro that move. You like that move.
Well, I think the early fast hot take was how dumb are the Atlanta Falcons? They just spent $140 million on a guy for 4 years. And now they're already drafting a guy for the future. What a rip job at Kirk Cousins. What a feeble way to run an organization. It gave the Chicago Bears. Why not take Rome Odunze and give your $140 million quarterback another receiver to work with on that team? And after the weekend, I started to think this through. I think the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons walks up to Arthur Blank, the owner, and he says, guess what? You've got your quarterback position settled for the next 10 to 12 years. All right, we did it in one draft. We did it in one offseason and free agency. We're never going to have to look at that position again because we've got a bona fide starter now who makes us better. What's his shelf life? 2 to 3 years. What do we need to do to get Michael Penix Jr. ready to play the game? Give him 2 to 3 years of watching the National Football League. And all you have to do is look at the Green Bay Packers and even a little bit of the Kansas City Chiefs to realize what the proper system is to get a quarterback ready in the National Football League. I think the Falcons never have to worry about their quarterback position for the next 10 years to 12 years. And that means they can get better through the draft in every other phase of the game. I think upon review, it was a very smart move for the Falcons long-term, while it appeared to be a short-sighted view short-term.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
You're welcome.
I couldn't disagree
You're
with you
welcome.
more. I think it's a terrible decision by management. If I'm Arthur Blank, I am absolutely I'm absolutely livid about this move because 2 months ago you're touting Kirk Cousins to your fan base. You're recruiting him and telling him this is where we're going to make you the guy. You are our fixture at quarterback. You are our present and our immediate future. And
He still is. He still is.
Right. But now you're telling
is.
him, yeah, you're our immediate future for now, but we've got an expiration date. You've got 2 years, and then you're going to be out. Like,
Could be three. Could be three.
And you paid him
But
all,
they've
and
got
it was
the
because it was
quarterback
180 million if he makes all the money on the contract. And by the way, the beauty of a rookie contract is that if you get, and obviously Purdy's an extreme example because you're not going to find a Mr. Irrelevant that's going to become a starting quarterback, maybe once a century.
No.
But C.J. Stroud is a first round pick who was as a rookie able to excel and take his team to the playoffs playing on a rookie scale contract. And the fact that you get a quarterback playing at that high of a level on a rookie scale contract means you can spend money on other players. But you're wasting two things. You're wasting the value of having a rookie like Michael Penix Jr. on a rookie scale contract to be able to spend money elsewhere and be able to help the team. And you're wasting money by spending $40 million plus on Kirk Cousins, who isn't your long-term guy. Like you're not. I don't think you're maximizing your ability.
You're viewing this wrong. You're viewing this wrong. You're going to get the best out of Cousins before you pay him the $180 million. You don't have to worry about that. There's something that triggers in his deal either just before or just after the 2026 season, which means that $180 million is going to be an affordable number to give him, and then you can cut bait, which is fine. He's older. What is he now, 35, 37, 38? He's already a little long in the tooth by NFL standard. And the rookie deal is a 5-year deal. You get to choose whether or not you want to pick up the 5th-year option. You're still going to get him starting for 2 years on the rookie deal. How many rookie quarterbacks are effective enough to lead their team to a playoff spot? Recency bias tells us there was one in Houston. But the guy who went ahead of him ended up having the worst record in the National Football League. Rookie quarterbacks don't make you better for the most part in the National Football League. None has ever won in the Super Bowl.
Okay, but
I
listen,
think this is a calculated move.
Michael Penix Jr. hasn't played a game since January. If the Falcons loved him that much, why not get a different bridge quarterback to come in? Why not take a stab at Russell Wilson? The deal that the Steelers got. Why not bring in Ryan Tannehill, who's still available?
Than that?
Why? Because you're not going to spend as much money, Coz. Why would you spend that much money? You bring in a guy that clearly is a bridge and knows what his role is. Kirk Cousins isn't going there being like, oh, I can't wait to mentor my replacement. And you're not putting Penix exactly in a good position either, because he's coming in and you're going to be walking on pins and needles coming into the NFL.
No, he's not. You're putting Penix in the most positive circumstance for him to succeed long term in the National Football League. Let's you want recency bias? Let's take the draft where 5 quarterbacks were taken, right? A few years ago. Trevor Lawrence goes. Who else goes in that draft? Justin Fields, Mac Jones, the Wilson kid went to the Jets, and who's the one I'm missing? There's one other one in that group.
I don't know.
That went. Right now, of those guys, right? Trevor Lawrence, who supposedly was the next guy, had 1 playoff appearance so far, and he's been above average, but he's not turned the world upside down. Wilson just got dealt to Denver. He might be out of the league
Trey
in 2
Lance
years.
was the other. Trey Lance.
That's a great one. Trey Lance is a backup in Dallas, although I think he could end up being a pretty good quarterback. He's a backup in Dallas, never even sees the field.
Did you say Mac Jones?
Mac Jones, backup to Trevor Lawrence now. Justin Fields, backup in Pittsburgh right now. See, I'm telling you, you start guys early. Mac Jones was a starter early. Justin Fields was a starter early. Keep going down the list. Trey Lance started getting snaps in his rookie year. He just kept getting hurt and couldn't stay on the field. Wilson got starts. He was a starter in the National Football League, got his teeth kicked in. And Trevor Lawrence got
But
started.
I'll tell you why it's a bad situation for Michael Penix Jr. Not only going in and not really knowing where your place is, right? But more importantly than that, you look at it from a rookie perspective. What are you playing for when? Okay, you're playing in college to get drafted, and okay, mission accomplished. Then when you get into the league, you're playing for that second contract. You're playing to be able to put up numbers and be able to get paid in that second deal. What if all things click for Kirk Cousins and he plays and through 3 years Kirk Cousins has been, a 3-year Pro Bowler. He's passed for 4,000 yards. He's gotten the Falcons into the playoffs 2 of the 3 years, won a playoff game or two, or even better. What if Kirk Cousins has done all that, and now Penix is coming up for his contract extension, and he's played in 1 game? Like, and he's never gotten a chance to really show what he can do. So I'm not thrilled if I'm Michael Penix or I'm Michael Penix's agent to go in that situation.
That could be fair if you just view it from that lens. But I'm not worried about that lens. I'm worried about the Atlanta Falcons football team. And if they make playoff runs for 3 years under Kirk Cousins, which could very well happen, in their eyes, they were a quarterback away, then they've got a decision to make after that 3rd year. I'm pretty sure that they would probably, if they feel Michael Penix can be the leader, they will lean towards him being the quarterback. The same way the Kansas City Chiefs got great performance from Alex Smith, and waiting in the wings was Mahomes. And even though it was a good playoff run for Alex Smith, they decided, we've got the next guy. They went with the next guy. Much the same way Aaron Rodgers kept having great run after great run after great run. And when the window started to close and Rodgers became too much of a pain in the ass, you know what? Jordan Love, your time has come. And we'll pay you because we know you can do the job. I just think it's a great move for Atlanta. They don't have to think about it anymore. They needed to have a guy who's NFL ready because they think they're a playoff team. They put it all on Arthur Smith, the head coach. That's why they got rid of him. So I'll be honest. I think this could be if in 5 years the Atlanta Falcons are a 4-time playoff team of the last 5 years, and they're making the transition over to Penix, and he's been a quarterback for one of those playoff runs, you'll have to say it's a successful move. But we won't know until then.
Well, and I'll tell you, if it goes that way and it's a successful move, then terrific. But you know what? If it doesn't go that way,
there's going to be a new GM.
And Arthur Blank could second guess getting talked out of hiring Bill Belichick. Because Belichick would not have made this move. Belichick would not have done this. I really feel like there's no way that Belichick would have doubled down on a quarterback like that. Anyway,
I agree.
All right.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. He did that with Mac Jones, didn't he?
Well, he did it with he did it with Garoppolo. He did it with Garoppolo.
Yeah, right? I mean, he always had guys waiting in the wings who then eventually went on to another team. Who's the guy who went from New England to Kansas City and signed the big money deal? He had guys all along the way that were always in there
Matt Castle. Matt Castle.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So you never know. I mean, this could be exactly what a guy like Belichick would do. Bring in a guy who's a starter and have a guy ready to go at any second because you don't know when, like with Garoppolo, Brady might go down and you'll need Garoppolo to come in who's game ready. And then you end up trading him for something.
Yeah. All right, listen, we're up against the bottom of the hour.
Good debate. We'll have healthy sports debate right there.
We will have a Matt Fowler sports update coming up on the other side of the break. And we will get MF'd. So that's all I had.
Yes.
Matt's excited.
NFL Today news. Have you guys seen the hot NFL pregame show news?
No, I have not seen that. That's a tease. That's a great tease.
That should be in Matt's update, but I'm guessing we don't know, so I can bring it to you if it's not in the update.
Hopefully I don't lose my mic by taking us to break like I did last time. But
okay. We got it.
We're back in just a couple of minutes here with LFG on this Monday.
Y'all ready for this?
What a shot by Happy Gilmore. He's a publicist's dream.
Happy Gilmore. He's been the talk of the course today with his huge drives and his amazing...
Hey, my girlfriend's dead, you know.
Don't worry. I won't tell anyone.
I've heard you've done some really interesting things here.
Hey, who's that?
Shooter McGabb.
You killed a golf legend.
You may be right, but our ratings are up and we're attracting new youthful sponsors. I'm sorry, Shooter. There's nothing I can do.
Guess I'll have to take care of this myself.
He's just threatened by you.
Congratulations, murderer.
You know, I know what you're doing right now, and I don't like it.
Let's do it. Hey.
Okay, we'll go on a date.
You gotta give me a big, fat kiss. You gotta pretend that you like it, too.
How's that nice girlfriend of yours?
Oh, she's dead. You killed Bob Barker.
I know that, and I'm sorry.
Kick him off the tour.
That might be extreme considering the fact that our ratings were the highest that we've ever had.
I was on this tour for one reason, money. But now I got a new reason.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. Listen, this call's about business. Anybody I get close to dies. If I were you, I'd run.
Anthony! You got that, baby? That ain't where I came from, yeah! Took on that, baby! Oh, my God!
Somebody closer! Get me out of here! You're gonna die, clown! Stay still! We're having no more anything!
Oh my God, power failure. It's getting very scary in here.
We've all experienced low levels of electrolytes, whether from a late night of drinking, completing a half marathon, or maybe even just experiencing a bout of explosive diarrhea from a food truck. You know what it's like to need to replenish those also important minerals in your body. But why just settle for that when you can enjoy our new proprietary sports drink and Colon Sweet blend? Colon Sport. Colon Sport is the new frontier in electrolyte replacement and removal. With a quick surge of sugar and electrolyte replacement, you'll feel on top of the world. And then, like a brisk wind tickling your grandmother's chimes, you need to drop those minerals and a whole lot else. So stop drinking other successful mineral replacement drinks and jump on board the Colon Sport Express. We're not only sure you'll love the taste, but we promise you'll be coming back for more. Colon Sport only hydrates and replenishes electrolytes for a temporary period before blowing out your bowels and requiring most individuals to start the process over and over and over. Individual results may vary. Some individuals may experience significant weight loss. It's the bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios Sports Update with Matt Fowler.
CBS is making some significant changes to the NFL pregame coverage for the 2024 season. On Monday, CBS announced that Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason will not return to the NFL Today studio show next season. Former star quarterback Matt Ryan is joining the pregame show in a full-time role alongside James Brown, Nate Burleson, Bill Coher, and J.J. Watt. For all the latest news, updates, hot takes, tune in to LFG with Dave Benz, Jim Kozimor, myself, Matt Fowler, and our associate producer, Bisa. Now back to LFG. Dave, you got to stop with the Colon Sport commercials. You got to stop with the Colon Sport commercials, man.
The Colon Sport commercials are great, but your pronunciation of longtime Steelers head coach and current NFL on CBS studio analyst, the coach his first name is Bill. You got the first name right. How did you pronounce the second name?
Hang on. Let's see.
Chowder.
Bill Cower.
Yeah, that's not what you said. You said Coher.
Yes.
You said Coher.
Did I?
Yeah, you said Coher. It's all good.
Son of a.
It's all good, Matt. I just want to make sure you knew who Bill Cower was. Bill Cower was.
Of course I knew who Bill Cower was.
Okay. All right. That's a big change. They're getting Matt Ryan some reps, and this is it. We talked about this, right? Changing of the guard in the NBA, changing of the guard in the NFL. Nothing lasts forever.
It happens. It happens everywhere. Boomer Esiason put out said something on his morning show at WFAN in New York today, saying he positioned it as, I've re-signed a new deal with WFAN, but the kicker is he's no longer going to be a part of the CBS NFL Today show, which I think is a big deal. And remember, there's new management at CBS Sports now. Someone coming in to run the business, and those people always want to put their own signature on things. And that's what they have done. Matt Ryan was in the booth last year. He'll move from the booth to the studio. And so we'll see how the chemistry is. We'll see how that works.
And, I might, if Boomer Esiason was doing a radio show that was not in New York, I might say, well, maybe he just decided he doesn't want to do the travel anymore. But correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, but I'm fairly confident that the NFL studio show for CBS is done out of their New York studios, so he's not traveling for that.
No, you're only traveling, I think, for the AFC title game, which is not a big deal. And there was a time when he was doing the NFL Today. He was doing his morning show Monday through Friday. NFL Today on Sunday, would fly to the Monday night game and do Westwood One radio analyst on Westwood One, and do his morning show also from whatever city that game was, whether it was Phoenix or, pick your NFL town, Atlanta, whoever was on the Monday night game. So that did involve a lot of travel. He left doing the Monday night game a long time ago, and so the travel was much different. In addition to, they have drivers that come and pick them up, all right? They get, Suburbans come pick them up at their house or hotel, wherever they are, driving to the studio. It's not like he's getting up at 4:30, getting in his car, driving into, beating traffic into Manhattan. That ain't the way that works. So
yeah,
they have it pretty good.
It is. It does just show, though, Coach. You know what? And we talk about recency bias all the time. How many people in Matt's age demographic or younger really even know who Boomer Esiason was? They're probably aware that he was a successful NFL quarterback, but they don't remember watching him play. They don't remember. They don't remember Ickey Woods doing the the Ickey shuffle. They don't remember those days in Cincinnati. It's it's just Father Time keeps marching on, man. Father Time, and then the changes keep coming, and it's true with every sport.
Yep.
In 20 years from now, in 20 years from now, when I'm 52, people are gonna, I think, feel the same way. Now, maybe this will be a little bit different, but I think about Tom Brady. They're gonna know him more as a broadcaster than as a player.
We brought his name up earlier, and people will scoff at this, but there is a generation of people who think of Michael Jordan as the shoe guy, and we buy his shoes, and a really crappy owner of an NBA team. And they just think of him as he played the game and he was great and all, but he's more of a shoe guy.
Yeah. By the way, there is one other piece of breaking news that Matt Fowler left out of his sports update, Coach. It's from your favorite. It's from your favorite aisle in the sports department. It's from the transfer portal department, and it's it's kind of near and dear to our heart out here in the Bay Area. We talked about it the other day. Aiden Mahaney is leaving St. Mary's to go to. He's pulling a LeBron. He's pulling a LeBron James.
Can I guess?
Yeah, take a guess.
Wow, he is. He is, because he's a San Ramon kid playing at St. Mary's. Boy, is he gonna? Because he went to Creighton for a visit. Is he going to UConn it up, or is he going to go to Creighton and try to put his own thing together? Is he going? I think he's going to UConn because he wants to win a title.
Well, I mean, if you can't piece that together after saying that he's pulling a, then that's how. Yeah, he's going to UConn. He's going to UConn. He says, "I chose UConn because I want to compete for national championships." End of quote.
Alrighty.
That's a pretty good place to go do it.
I would say. Yeah, it is, but I would also say, I guess. I don't know. Why crap on the school that game? See, again, transfer portal.
I'm not crapping on the school, and I'm not
Bad
also
for the
and I'm not dissing Mahaney. It's they're both operating within the parameters that are available and accepted within the sport. I am taking umbrage with the parameters. I don't like the transfer portal. I don't think it's overall good
I'm
for
with you.
the game.
No,
So-
it's not. It's not because he just got a chance to show his wares using everything St. Mary's had, right? He was using the facilities. He was staying at their place. It didn't cost him a dime. And now he took that year where he was able to get under a really good coach. He said, hey, now I'm going to go get mine. I used you for what I could use you for. Now I'm going to go get mine.
By the way,
I
don't know. I don't know if this is tied to it, but 5-star recruit, a kid named Liam McNeely, who is out of Lafayette. He has signed with UConn as he's signed a letter of intent to play at UConn. So I don't know if those two, both both with East Bay ties. I don't know if they talk things over or not, but
the La Marinda crew all going to UConn, man.
Yeah, all going over to the East Coast. So that's interesting. All right, let's unless you want to go over any more tidbits of NFL stuff, I think we should give Matt his moment to shine with the Get MF goes.
I love it. I love it. We can talk Timberwolves. We can talk Wolfpack. We can talk Bill Coer. We can do whatever you want to do.
Bill Coer, yes. We should get the Matt Fowler greatest hits. All right.
You guys are mean.
Well,
Matt Fowler may be congenial producer by day,
but in this segment, he's ditching the nice guy routine.
Time to get MF'd.
Talk about ditching the nice guy routine. You guys aren't the ones that are not the nice guys. Come on. All right. So there is. Let me turn this music down for a second. There is a man, the oldest living man at 111 years old. He says his secret. His name is John Alfred Tenniswood. He's 111. He says his secret is a fish and chips diet. And
I love it.
And luck. And so I have a two-part question for you guys. What do you guys do what do you think the secret is to staying young, even though none of us can stay young, but maintaining the best lifestyle? And then the other thing is, if you had your choice, do you want to live to be 111, or like the oldest living woman, her name is Maria Baraines, and she is 117 years old in Spain. So do you want to even live to be that long?
Boy, that's a great question. My father-in-law is 97 years old, might be 98. We just went to his last birthday party, and he is lucid as can be. The dude reads the dictionary, he does crossword puzzles, he does Sudoku, he keeps his mind fresh, and physically maybe the strongest human being I know. When he was 96, we went to a family reunion, and he was playing bocce. And I looked and I said, man, I'd sign up for that right now. And one of their daughters, it was him and his brother. His brother's 90, he's 96 or 7. And one of the daughters said, yeah, if we were as lucid as they were, I'd sign up for it. But most people don't stay that physical. If I could stay that physical and that lucid, yes, I'd want to live to 111. I would love to see my children's children start their lives. I would love to see what that's all about. I'd love to maybe have a great-grandchild. So I would absolutely, if someone said you have to give up alcohol and cigars right now, and you'll get to 111 lucid, I would say yes, I'm all in.
Oh, well, listen, I'm all about trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I've really cut back on my drinking. I'm a non-smoker. I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. So I am trying to hold father time off as long as I possibly can. And in that process, try to be lucid and try to be able to get up and walk around and enjoy life. That said, Coz, you can do all that, and you could still get struck by a car that runs a red light and have it come to an end tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
believe it's all in moderation, right? I'm not going to completely go live like a monk and lock myself in a cave so that I can be sure that I make it to 110. Life is, we get one shot at going around. But yeah, I want to live as long as I can and be as healthy as I can and be able to get as most enjoyment out of the days that I have as I can. So you got to try to find the balance in my mind. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
See, my thing is this. My thing is, if I can quote, or not maybe quote, but reference Tom Hanks in The Green Mile. I don't know if I want to live to be 111, even if I'm not lucid, because I'm assuming probably the majority of my friends aren't going to make it to that long. And at some point, you're just going to be lonely because you're not going to have anybody.
I will
And
tell you,
don't
I
know-
knew a guy who was 102. I think I brought him up on the show previous. And right before he passed, the one thing he did tell me was he told me he was ready to go because he didn't want to go to any more funerals.
Yeah. So,
But if everybody's
that.
if everybody's doing it, if everybody's living to 120, by the way, Matt, you asked what the key is, and yes, good health and eating right and working out. That's
Luck
all a
is the
big
key.
part of it. Luck is a part of it. You know what else is a part of it? Because if you've got the money to be able to afford, to eat right and have and maybe have a personal trainer and get the health care you need, and I know
You
some.
don't need a personal trainer. You don't need a lot of money to eat.
Okay,
to eat
but
right.
to be able to, our healthcare system is lame, Coz, and I know
is.
somebody.
It's the worst thing in the world.
And I know,
It's horrible.
I know somebody who is rather affluent, and last year went and had a preventative MRI, had a full body MRI scan, just so they could check out and see is there anything in here that we should be taking a look at and catch it early. And it was like 10 grand. Not everybody is going to just have 10 grand to go be like, I'm going to go get an elective MRI just to make sure everything's good. And that's where the chasm comes between the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. I that's an extreme case. The guy who's 111 years old, my guess is, when he was 60, 70, 80, he wasn't going in for these all-body scans, if they even had all-body scans. A lot of it is just genetics. It is what it is. My wife will probably outlive me because her mom was 80 and her dad's 96 or 97. Just the way it is.
He was born on August 26, 1912, by the way. That's just to give you an idea of the history that this man has seen.
God,
and
imagine
been
what
through.
you've seen.
Okay, hey, so
Where's the guy live?
What was that?
Where's the guy live?
Where's the guy
100?
live?
Yeah.
Oh, he lives in England.
Okay, I was gonna say with fish and chips.
England.
I kind of thought that might be England. While we were doing this,
So it's not climate, right? It's not heat. Heat wasn't a big part of it. So maybe you have to live in a more, I don't know, maybe the part of the climate. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say while we were doing this, I decided I would go to YouTube and type in I would just type in old people and see what came up. And I've got a clip that came up. It's old people fighting with 180,000 views. Should we listen to it for a second? I have no idea what we're about to play.
Terrible
But
what you're
here's a
doing to
listen.
the old people.
Other end of it.
Oh.
Get out of here. Look at that. As soon as you turn your back, she hits you with a truck. I'm standing beside you and for you. What's that?
You need to show this. You need to put the video up.
I'll take yours and hit her over the head.
There's a bunch of people just sitting around. All right, it's not that great. Just old people squabbling.
Did you ever see the CFL, two old CFL guys fighting? Did you ever see that one?
I think I
They
know what
had
you're talking about.
it
I
was
do
like a-
remember. It was on a show, right? It was on
Yeah.
a TV show.
Yeah, with a great Joe Cap, Cal grad, if I'm not mistaken. NFL quarterback, went on to a great NFL career, went on to a great Canadian Football League career, played the NFL as well. And he was it might have been the 100-year anniversary of the CFL or something big event, getting ready for the Grey Cup. and he gets on stage, and there's a guy from an opposition team, and like Joe was like 83, and the other dude was like 80.
He
Comes on in his cane, and he sees this dude and just starts wailing away, and those two go at it. You got it?
I got it. I'm playing the audio. I can't put up the video that easily. They were both 73, which, by the way, I don't feel like 73 is that old.
No, my dad's 75.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, they're just slapping each other. Oh, now he swung the cane. Now he threw a right hook.
I told you.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
I
that's
told you, dude.
crazy.
It's awesome.
That's crazy. I vaguely remember that. It was Joe Cap and Angelo Mosca were the Cap, former BC Lions and Vikings quarterback and actor and Cal head coach. And Angelo Mosca, former Hamilton Tiger Cats defensive tackle and pro wrestler. And that happened in 2011. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's crazy.
That's a fabulous moment. Just
there's
two
that
old
one, and
dudes.
then there's the one where I think it was, Buzz Aldrin punched some guy in the face that said he didn't land on the moon.
Yes, he did. He was like 70 or 80 at the time, and he just lined him up and clocked him.
Yeah, that's craziness. Anyway, all right. Well, that was a decent Get MF today, Matt. You're getting better. You're getting better with the Get MF. Dude, you're bringing up something that's brings up some conversation. So there you go.
Thank you.
Dude, I'm watching it now. That's like they fall off the stage.
Yeah, they're really going at it. But 73, like, here is the thing though that's interesting, right? Coz, do you remember? I'm sure you were the same way. When I was 12. Oh man, like 30's really old. And then you get to be 28 and you're like, 30's not that old. 40's kind of old. Then you get to be 40 and you're like, well, at least I'm not 50. Then you get to be 50 and you're like, well, I'm still young. 60's kind of getting up there. Then you get to be 60 and it moves to 70. It's like, but I will say, if you look at pictures of people from back, 30 years ago that were in their 50s, I think the 50-year-olds now look younger than the 50-year-olds did then. I think people know more about taking better care of themselves and
they're all smoking. They're all smoking like, a pack a day or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what you did back then.
Note for you young viewers out there and listeners out there, from the time you're born to the time you're 20 takes forever. And then the time it takes you to go from 20 to 40 goes a little quicker, and you go, how did that happen? 40 to 60, it's like you're having a cup of coffee every 15 minutes, man. It's like breakfast is happening every 15 minutes. It just, boom, it happened like that for me. My kids, how are my kids 20? I have no idea how that happened. It is just, that's the way life is, man.
The last time I saw you, Jim, I came to your house. We had lunch, and I met your kids, and they were in high school. How were they 20?
Well, they're in high school now. They're in high school now.
Wait,
they were little kids then.
Coach, I look at my son, and I can't believe that he's about to finish his first year of high school. And oh yeah, by the way, he's like shooting up like a weed right now. And he's not quite as tall as me, but within a year on the track that he's on, he'll be as tall as me in a year. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. They ain't little kids anymore. You can't just pick them up. But that's life, right? That's the same. We talk about it in sports. Sooner or later, father time again, undefeated. My hope is push him into overtime. It's the only thing I'm hoping for. Father time. Can I get you to overtime? That's all I'm asking.
Get him into overtime. That's what we need.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. Well, listen. That's
give you a quick 2-minute minor. I know we're almost done with the show, but I can give you a quick 2-minute minor.
Okay, 2-minute minor. And now we need to get an intro for this as well. I did tell Matt he needs to get on that to put together some kind of intro. Let me see if I can pull up the NHL theme music. Here we go. NHL on TNT. All right, Coach. 2-minute minor. We need our NHL update before we leave.
A lot going on, man. The NHL, they fire coaches as soon as things start happening. The Seattle Kraken firing their head coach, Dave Haxtell, after 3 years. They missed the playoffs last year after having a nice run last year. Sorry, Dave, you're out. Don't tell me what happened last year. Tell me what's going on before. Also, last night, a gut-wrenching defeat at the hands of the Nashville Predators, who were leading 3-1 with under a minute to go, or I'm sorry, 3-2 with under a minute to go. They give up the game-tying goal with 6 seconds left, and in overtime at home lose to Vancouver, who is playing their third-string goalie, by the way, and Vancouver leads the series 3-1. They can close it out in game number 5 as they go back home tomorrow or the next day. NHL games tonight aren't that big, but the big one is the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had evened the series at 1-1, lost games 3 and 4 at home over the weekend. They trail 3-1 in their series with the Boston Bruins. And Toronto might not have Austin Matthews, their best player and an MVP candidate, because he is ill and did not play at the end of the game. So there's your 2-minute minor.
By the way, Coach, this is the 30-year anniversary of the season in which both the Rangers and the Knicks went to their respective finals, and Madison Square Garden was electric in 1994. Could we have a repeat of that this year?
Yes. You know, that's an excellent point. The Rangers did get rid of the Washington Capitals yesterday, so they're sitting around waiting to play. The Knicks will eventually get rid of the 76ers. New York could be buzzing, Dave. That's an excellent point. When New York does average things, we all think of them as great, or we're told that they're great. But right now, they've got 2 very good teams, and the Rangers had the most points in the NHL this year, so they're a team heavily thought of. I don't know if you call them a favorite, but a heavy favorite. I'll call them that. A heavy favorite to get to the Stanley Cup this year.
And one final piece of breaking news before we end the show. No numbers have been released yet, but the Kansas City Chiefs have signed Travis Kelce to a 2-year contract extension. So
whatever it is, it's just going to disrupt the taxes of his future wife.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think any money that listen.
Away.
If he marries Taylor Swift and brings $40 million a year to the table, I don't even think that's going to make a blip on what she pays in taxes. No. It's just
going to be a hassle. Her accountant's going to say, "Oh, that sucks." So you guys going to file jointly or separately? That's all he's going to say.
Is there a prenup in that marriage? You think? Is there a prenup?
Oh boy, you better believe it.
She's
getting some hot water, man. She's getting some hot water. She's not as loved as she used to be. That her most recent double album is liked, not loved by the masses.
Yeah, well,
T-Swizzle, I got to go see T-Swizzle. I got to figure out a way to do that.
All right. Well, I'm sure she's
it could be. My daughter went, so it was a life change.
Really? Okay.
I should probably.
Yeah, she said my daughter. I got her the tickets.
Since we're talking about Taylor, I should probably close the show with Taylor. Do I have Taylor? Here we go. I got a little Taylor right here for you. Here you go, guys. All right, that's going to do it for a Monday edition of LFG. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow, Ordinary Calls Tuesday, and I'm sure we'll continue the NBA playoff conversation and other tidbits. So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for a fun show. Thanks for the Timberwolves talk early, and enjoy your Monday night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow here on LFG.
Timberwolves.